Hi, good morning, and welcome to the Magic webinar. This morning we're going to be talking about Salesforce business process automation. So thank you for coming. We did start a little late. Sorry about that. It often takes people a few minutes just to install the software and get up and running. So we just wanted to wait for some of the last attendees coming on board. Anyway, so we're expecting this to last about 30 to 40 minutes, depending on questions. The webinar, we like to try and keep our webinars as interactive as possible. So there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions. You can type them in at any time, and we'll take the answers at the end of the session. I'll also be asking you some questions where you've got the opportunity to answer directly on screen. And for the purpose of sound and audio quality, your audio will be muted, but we'll try and address everything and all questions throughout the session. So let's kick off. I'm going to just in terms of what we're going to be talking about this morning, I'm going to just give you a brief overview about Magic, just in case you haven't heard of Magic, just so that you are aware of where we come from. We're going to be defining what business processes are in terms of the different perspectives. Then we'll be looking at the challenges around achieving those business processes, trying to implement those business processes through integration. We'll be showing you some of real-world scenarios of how people struggle with business processes, trying to achieve the ideal scenario. We'll then be crossing over to Richard, my solution architect, who's going to be running a live demo. So this will be a live demo showing a business process integration between two systems, Salesforce and an ERP system. Today it will be SAP, just for the purposes of the webinar. So we're going to try and keep this brief, but please, if there's anything further that we can help you with, you're free to contact us at the end of the webinar and then after the actual session itself. So just a little bit about Magic Software, in case you haven't heard of us. We're a company that have been around for approximately 30 years. So we've been around for a long time. We're still a growing company, and we provide solutions to organizations through the use of integration as well as application development. So that's very important, and that's something that separates us apart from other vendors in the market, because we're able to provide back office integration as well as the front end applications to display that information. And when we talk about application development, these days it refers a lot to mobile, so providing enterprise mobility for our customers. We have partnered up with some of the major vendors, so when it comes to things like integration, it's very important that the connectivity to the major applications is certified or recognized. So we are a SAP Gold partner. We're a partner with Salesforce and have been so for many years, working together with them. We provide Oracle validated integration to things like the e-business suite, JD Edwards, Enterprise One World. We also work with IBM, Microsoft. The list does go on. There's several other vendors that we do work with, organizations like Sugar CRM, Syspro, and various others. So it does allow us to ensure that there's proper connectivity between multiple applications. Okay, so let's look at what is a business process. Okay, so don't worry, I'm not going to ask you to answer this, since I think we'd be getting a multitude of different answers, as I found when trying to find the best description on the web. And believe me, there are many. So I looked to see what Gartner says. And according to Gartner, well, they say processes that span organizational boundaries, linking together people, information flows, systems, and other assets to create and deliver value to customers and constituents. Well, I guess it is correct, but it doesn't really tell us that much. What I do like about this particular description, though, is this part with the people, the information flows, systems, and other assets. because it's taking away from the actual technology side, and it's showing that business processes are far more than technology itself. Let's have a look at what Wikipedia has to say. Well, according to Wikipedia, a business process is a collection of related structured activities or tasks that produce a specific service or product for a particular customer or customers. Well, that's sounding a lot better, but I like the second part of this, where it says it may often be visualized as a flowchart of a sequence of activities with interleaving decision points, or as a process matrix of a sequence of activities with relevance rules based on data. So I think to me, that's a far better description. I would add 2 points into this type of description. And the first one would be triggers. So triggers form the heart of any sequence of activities, as Wikipedia refers to it. Another point I would add is error handling, because when it comes to error handling, that's always a vital part of the business process. And it's one component that's often forgotten about when designing business processes. Okay, so how does Salesforce fit into all of this? Well, I would like to, before I actually address this, I'd like to ask you a question about your Salesforce environment, if you've got one at all, but just to enable us to be able to put things into perspective. So I'm going to show you a question at the moment, which I'd like you to answer. So firstly, if you are using Salesforce at all, and then if you've been using it for the period of longer than 2 years or less than 2 years. Also, if you're currently looking to implement or you're scoping Salesforce at the moment, if it is something that you perhaps may be looking towards in the near future. Okay, so give that another few seconds. Great, thanks for those answers. That does it does help, and we do have a mix of people that are using Salesforce currently, and there's also some people that aren't actually using Salesforce at the moment. So it's a bit of a mix. So we all know that you already have, or you will be investing time, resources, and budget into a Salesforce implementation. You want to see to it that any investment made is maximized to yield a proper return on investment. So to do so, you have to incorporate all the other existing assets within the organization. Just referring back to Wikipedia's announcement on their business processes. So a Salesforce implementation, it really has to go hand in hand with some type of integration strategy, even if it's in phase 2 or 3 or at the very end of the Salesforce implementation. Doing so will require a fraction of the initial investment in terms of budgetary outlay, but not doing so will often result in over-investing in the longer term for the whole project. I'm talking about trying to do it on your own at the end if it hasn't been considered beforehand, and it could throw the whole project over budget and also tie up internal resources for months trying to streamline those business processes moving forward. What we find is that the most effective projects require that you understand your own business processes thoroughly beforehand, and in the best case scenarios, those business processes should be represented in clear visual charts, regardless of where that data resides. I think that may have been a joke from my marketing team. Stay calm and integrate Salesforce. Okay, so there's a number of specific challenges when it comes to try and integrate and to achieve the business processes. So let's consider some of these. Now, firstly, the integration scenarios, they may imply that integration is required with incompatible data formats within legacy systems. So legacy systems that may not have an open interface or open standards, and they still form part of the business process. That's a challenge that is very often seen, and these type of systems are often forgotten about and left in the corner, but they really do need to be part of the entire business process. Another one is different platforms. So different platforms, this could imply either on-premise applications and other cloud-based applications. So the integration platform should easily cover both cloud to cloud and also cloud to on-premise integration. Different platforms may also imply other platforms such as Linux or iSeries, which is common when integrating things like Salesforce to JD Edwards. So any type of integration strategy or platform needs to be able to cater for this type of technology. There's very often a divide between business and IT, and it's found in any organization with an IT department. It applies to so many strategies that organizations embark on, such as enterprise mobility, collaboration, when it comes to compliance with certain regulations, and the list goes on. And it does create difficulties with integration projects for managing business processes. However, with the correct approach and solution, it really can work to everyone's advantage. An ideal solution will solve both the IT people's issues, which would be things like time to deliver, heterogeneous IT systems, and also knowledge of these heterogeneous systems, as well as the maintenance costs moving forward. But also the business people's objectives. And they would be things like automating those business processes through completely different IT systems, and then also being able to change them whenever necessary. There's also a complex management and little visibility. Business users don't really care how the integration is done under the bonnet, but they want visibility and agility. The technical people, on the other hand, they need high visibility to make sure that the systems are always up and running and easily managed, debugging. So they need complete visibility of the entire process. So those are some of the things that also need to be taken into consideration. Okay, so to really be effective and efficient in business, integration between the back office applications is essential. So some of the benefits and some of the things that are achieved with integrating business processes is the 360-degree view. Now, I know that the 360-degree view is a term that is very much overused, but it's really changed meaning over time. So with the advent of technologies such as mobile devices, video consumer supports, online communities, social media platforms, and even more, the various touch points with which customers interact has proliferated, which can make the task of aggregating all that data from all the different various interactions far more difficult to achieve. It does become a major challenge. But then, of course, customers don't always mean the customers that you sell products to, but also extend out to partners, suppliers, any third-party organization that you deal with. And the information sharing is vital. With the amount of data accumulating from all these touch points, duplication is going to be inevitable and can become a serious problem to deal with. So the correct mechanisms and, again, the strategy for integration needs to be put in place to deal with this as well. The reliable data, having the correct information at the right time really does improve any type of critical business decision. It allows people to make the right decisions when they need to. So it's not, this is not only improved for buyers of product or service, but also, as I mentioned, the partners of third parties, which are crucial to the delivery of your goods. So more real-time information. The quicker the company can adjust to any type of changes means that it's faster and makes you more competitive against other people around you. Okay, so when organizations look to implement some type of integration strategy to address the business processes, there is a whole range of functionality and things that need to be considered and to look for. These are some of the major points that we we see as being important when you are considering any type of platform or strategy. Firstly, there needs to be certified connectivity. So the certified connectivity is really going to provide you with ensuring that the data, which is the crown jewels of any organization, is properly secured and integrity is maintained. It also means that with certified connectivity, when you are connecting to systems, you don't have to have those particular skills in-house to understand exactly how the connections work with the right methodology and tools. All of that technology can be put in place under the bonnet so that the engineers, developers can connect to the systems and continue the development of the business processes rather than having to worry about all the underlying technology. Another important aspect would be to be able to visually drag and drop and configure. So the drag and drop functionality is becoming quite popular in a lot of tools. But essentially it means being able to visualize, if we go back to some of those definitions of business processes, being able to visualize the business processes and being able to draw them up in a way that is meaningful to yourself and other people that may be looking to amend those in the future, so that it keeps a consistency across the tool sets without having to develop actual code. And that brings me on to the next point, which is code-free. So all of this needs to be completely code-free. There shouldn't be a requirement to have to develop .NET, Java, and various other technologies, because with heterogeneous systems, it's going to require different types of skill sets. So a code-free approach makes that a lot easier, having to only learn the technology for the platform and being able to integrate into any other type of heterogeneous environment that you do have. Being reusable means that when a project has been developed once, it can be reused again for other projects. This applies when complex integration tasks come to hand. Integration starts off quite at a basic level, but ultimately it's going to get more and more complex as the business processes increase. So it's very important to be able to reuse coding that's been done previously to deploy that into multiple types of projects. The data quality is also vital. As I mentioned before, the duplication is going to come up with several systems, and as different systems become integrated, there will be duplication. So it's important to ensure that there's some type of strategy that will be able to eliminate those duplicate records on a real-time basis or on a batch basis, whichever works best for you. But the important thing is to have that strategy in place. Then, of course, the solution needs to be robust, which is essentially catering for growth in the organization. So as the organization grows, there's more transactions. The platform needs to be able to cater for that. So it needs to be very scalable and have elastic scalability. So it can grow out when required at busy times of the year, for example, but then also reduce again when not necessary. In terms of robustness, there's also things like redundancy. So if the system is if there's potential for the system to fall over, you need to be sure that the whole system will come up again and nothing will be lost. You're talking about real-time information, real-time business processes, so that needs to be up and running 24 hours a day. And that's something that the platform should be able to cater for as well. These are just some of the tasks or some of the processes that need to be considered. There are far more. So things like ensuring that the chosen vendor that's providing you a tool is reputable, and they've got reference customers that you can go talk to. There's a far more that needs to be considered. Let's look at some of the some scenarios of business processes. So when we're talking about actual business processes, it could be things like data warehouse. So the data warehousing, building a data warehouse becomes a business process in itself, and that would be bringing the data in, making sure that the data is cleansed and it's uploaded and no duplication is done. So data cleansing would form part of that process as well. Another type of process would be creating an account or contact in Salesforce and then being able to transfer that over to the ERP system. So just a quite basic process, which means that when one user makes a change to a record in one of the systems, you're going to have some form of replication, regardless of whether you've got a master data management solution in place or not. That data is still going to have to be replicated across to various systems. So that's imperative to ensure that there's consistency across multiple systems, and also allows as you do bring on board new systems, that it will cater for those as well. Another example would be a quote-to-cash process containing products, contracts, invoices, all the information that's required. And that forms a true business process when information is being gathered from multiple systems to deliver that sort of solution. And then, of course, we've got this automating the processes between Salesforce and e-commerce websites, which is very common that we see very often, where e-commerce websites are built and they are running consistently. They've been running for quite a long time. Suddenly, Salesforce is brought into the picture, and it needs to be integrated. All the data that's coming in from that website, all the sales, needs to be brought into Salesforce as well. So there's various others, things like the updates to social networks are important. If that becomes something that is relevant to your organization, you need to have Twitter feeds coming into your systems that should be easily achievable with using the right type of platform. Okay, I'm going to give you just a very quick example of how the right solution can really create a good scenario for the organization. And in this particular case, I'm going to talk about a particular person who is out on the road making customer calls. I think to avoid an argument with my technical consultant later, I'm not going to call him Richard, I'll call him David, and he's a sales rep. So David is out on the road, and he's in a situation where the meeting that he's going to has just been called off. So he wants to know, since he's out already, he wants to know if there's other customers in the area that he can go visit. So he takes out his mobile device. Of course, the application has been developed for him, and he just types in the postcode of where he is, or it could even be automated that it picks up his geographical location. So that gets entered into the app that he's running. From there, the business process would integrate into the ERP system. So, for example, it could be JD Edwards or SAP, bringing back information about customers that are in that particular area. From there, it would cross-reference all those customers looking in the Salesforce system or any other CRM solution that's in place to retrieve particular customer details. So that customer details could be personal contact information. It could also mean opportunities that are currently open for that particular customer. But then once it's got that information, being able to cross-reference into another application like Google to work out the distances between where you are currently and where that location is for that particular customer. And then, of course, bring back that data in a readable format. So here in this particular example, this app would bring back a list of the customers sorted by the distance of where they are. Then once the sales rep, Dave, he can go and select his favorite customer and open that up and retrieve any type of information that is available on any of the enterprise systems. So it could mean the personal details for that particular customer. It could also be retrieving information about support cases that have been logged, contracts that are up for renewal. Any information from any system should be accessible from an app like this that makes it very easy and accessible for that particular user. So here we're talking about having the right information at the right time for that particular user in also the right medium for him, where he's able to retrieve that. Again, moving on through the business process, this particular app could integrate into Google Maps, open it up, and show a list of directions to get to that particular customer. So this is just a very basic using the proper integration platform that's able to retrieve all the information in a true fashion from any type of system for you. And that's how these systems, these are the type of thought process that should be going in your mind about how it's going to actually be used ultimately. I'm going to hand over to Richard, who is going to show that live demo. Now, this is going to be a demo between Salesforce and SAP. It's a real-life scenario, so just bear with Richard while he changes screens and accesses the systems. But you're going to see a business process. This is just a very basic, for time purposes, a very basic one showing integration between SAP and Salesforce. Richard, it's over to you.
Good morning. So the demo I'm going to show you is a very simple demo showing account synchronization between Salesforce and SAP. And I'm going to start. I have created already, filled in the form in Salesforce. I'm going to now create this new account in Salesforce. So I'm saving this, and this account has now been created. And if I go into the integration platform, then what I'm expected now to see is that this account has been created in our SAP system, and that the account number from SAP has also been updated as an ERP reference in my Salesforce environment that and associated to that account. So just waiting for this to start, and while we're waiting for that, it's going to take a few seconds.
While we're waiting for that, I just wanted to mention one thing, that Salesforce are holding their annual conference next week in London. So if you are going to be attending that, then please come over and talk to us. We've got a stand, I think it's number 115. So come over and have a chat with us next week at the Salesforce World Tour at Excel next week. Okay, sorry.
Right, that's fine. Just took a few seconds to run the integration flow. So if I go back now to the account in Salesforce, I have an ERP reference field here. If I reload this, then I expect there to be an account number, which is the record identifier for the business partner in SAP. So if I now take this number, I'm just going to show you that this has also been created in our SAP environment. And while we're waiting for this to log in, there we go. So in order to display, just going to the display customer in SAP, and I'm just going to type in this code, and I expect that to show the account name of Demo Salesforce 2015-05-15, and have the billing address that I put into the billing address of the account in Salesforce. Right, so that is a very simple integration demo and how between Salesforce and SAP. So I'm going to continue now and just show you how this has been implemented. So first of all, on a higher level, this is a very simple business process. It's a new account that has been created in your Salesforce environment, and basically the integration platform will create a customer in the ERP system, log this transaction, and the output is that the customer is created and the transaction is logged. We now go into the actual technical implementation of this. We have a trigger that will trigger on when a new account has been created in Salesforce, and the underlying mechanism how this event is picked up is completely hidden from the developer. And for each record we get from the trigger, we are going to create a customer in SAP. So if I go into the first step is to actually create a customer. All I need to do in order to do this is to say which API call I want to make. Click OK. And on the source is the account that the trigger passed from Salesforce environment, and on the destination, the component has already filled in the parameter that is needed for this API call. And if I click Map, and you have a visual data mapper showing how an account record looks like in Salesforce, and also what the parameters that are required in order to make this API call in SAP. And in order to map something, it's very simple. You just drag, select the source node, drag it, and drop it at the destination. Of course, you can also have data transformation during the mapping process. You can have multiple source nodes to one destination, manipulate strings, typecasting, etc. I'm not going to go into the details of this. And then we read the SAP response. Again, just checking if the customer was created or not, or if this operation or API call was successful. And then later on, just go in and update the Salesforce record with the newly created account reference in SAP. And again, it's very simple. All I need to do is specify which object I want to make an operation on, which operation I want to do, and click OK. And again, this is now the record. So I have the ID from the record I got, and now I'm going to update the same record with the newly created with the ERP reference. And all I need to do here is just specify the ID, which record I want to update, and then also the ERP reference, which I extracted at the previous step in the SAP when I read the SAP response. To our disposal to build workflows like this, we have a wide range of components and adapters. So first of all, I know it's a bit overwhelming, but we have technology adapters, so we know we can communicate with various message queuing systems, expose processes in the integration platform as web services, as well as consuming existing web services, know how to communicate with FTP, HTTP, etc. We also have specific connectors for certified connectors to, for example, Salesforce, the wide range of various SAP ERP systems, JD Edwards, SharePoint, Dynamics CRM, etc. And as well, we have a data mapper that enables you to map data from a variety of sources, such as databases, XML, flat files, and so on, to a variety of destinations. And in terms of reusability, the connection credentials to Salesforce and SAP are actually stored externally to the project logic. So if you go in and have a look at this, this is, for example, the SAP connection details, how to connect to SAP. And another example would be the Salesforce connectivity. And this is stored outside the project logic, which enables you to actually reuse the same logic on multiple locations throughout your organization. I think that's it from me. I'm not going to go into further details about this. And I'm going to pass this WebEx back to David.
Thank you. Thanks, Richard. Okay, that was great. And I think that was a good illustration of some of the things that I was referring to when considering a business process. So that was very well done. We are running very much out of time at the moment, but please, I don't know if we're going to have time to address questions now, but please, if you do have questions, send them to us and we will answer. One thing I wanted to show you in the meantime was just in terms of some of the customers that we do have. We have a very large range of customers that are using our solutions at the moment. This is from our website, where we've got customer stories and customers in every type of vertical imaginable, with and from multiple locations globally. So we address solutions, integration solutions, application development solutions for a wide variety of types of requirements. So Magic software is used globally in many types of organizations. Okay, I'm going to have to end that session now, but again, just a reminder about next week. We will be at the World Tour, so please do come visit us then, and we will try and address any questions that we can after the webinar. So thank you very much for your time. The session will be recorded, and you will receive a copy of this to share with your colleagues. So again, thank you, and